Today we're working on this guitar. Well, we're working on the fretboard. What we're going to do on this one is we got to pull this fretboard off of this guitar because we built a new neck for it. So we got to put this fretboard on this neck. So it's got frets in it, and what I've done is the neck was off the body, so I've reconnected the neck onto the body using the two original bolts and ferrules, and that way I can clamp this body down to my bench here, and I won't have to worry about trying to hold this neck down while I'm trying to take this fretboard off. So we're going to clamp this body down to the bench, and then we're going to use an iron and this putty knife. I'm going to show you how I take off a fretboard, and you should be able to take it off without ruining the fretboard. I removed the two string tees and I removed the nut so I can get my spatula, which I got a smaller spatula, up underneath there to start sliding this thing off. So the first thing is to get some heat on there. So we're going to take this iron, turn it on, and just lay it on there for now, like that. Heat up the fretboard. And I usually pull the frets out before I'll do this, but I'm going to try to kill two stones with one bird if I can here, and pull this off with the frets in it. So what we're going to do is just let this heat up, and what we're looking for is this to melt the glue, and once it starts to get hot, you can start sliding this thing up underneath this fretboard. Now, you don't want to take this and start beating it with a hammer, or you don't want to take a chisel in there and start beating it with a hammer, because you're going to end up ruining your fretboard, ruining the neck, the whole 9 yards. So you're going to slide it, and you're just going to push with pressure, just push with a lot of pressure. That's why we clamp the body down back here, or bolted the neck to the body and then clamped the body to the bench. That way we got room to push it. So I got my spatula in to about the back of the nut right now. So I just got it started, and I'm just going to continue to lay this iron on there and let that get hot. And what I'm hoping is that leaving these frets in, that the frets are going to get hot, the frets go down in the fretboard about, I don't know, probably about a quarter of the way, so that'll heat that down in, and heat it down in farther than by just landing on top of the wood, and hopefully it's going to help that come off a little bit better. But the most important part is getting this spatula in, so getting it in to where you're not cutting none of the maple neck, you're not cutting none of the rosewood itself, getting it actually in between, and cutting the glue that holds it is what we're looking to do. So it's just a sliding motion, just back and forth like so. And you can see it's moving there. This side over here, not so much. So that's really all you gotta do. Get it in there where it needs to be, put some more heat on it. And it's a back and forth like that. You'll put heat on it, push a little bit, put more heat on it. Once it gets up in here, you can actually let the iron just lay on there while you're moving it back and forth, and that way you got continued heat going down into the fretboard and stuff. But the biggest thing is take your time. Don't be in a rush. Figure on spending a minimum of a half hour, maybe an hour, and definitely don't start beating it with a hammer. That's the last thing you want to do. If you start hitting it with a hammer, you might get lucky and it might come off. It might. But if you don't get lucky and it doesn't come off, then you're done. And there you can see what happened on this side was I was actually starting to get into the maple a little bit. I had to pull it back out, readjust it, and now that I got it between both of them, I'm actually cutting the glue because the glue's getting warm. You can see how easy it's sliding down. Now at that point, I'm going to pull it back off and throw more heat on it. Let it set for a couple more minutes. Let them frets get nice and hot, and them frets will get hot to where it's like touching the stove. You'll burn yourself if you touch them frets. So, but that's what we want. We want it really hot so the glue is going to melt and or get not melt, I guess, get soft again. And that way, this spatula is going to slide and just basically cut the glue in half. And we should be good. So here we go. Just back and forth, and there we're past the first fret. 21 more to go, huh? And you can feel it when you first pull it off. You'll feel it when you're sliding it back, when you're moving it back and forth. You'll feel it. It'll move pretty easily, but then as it starts to cool down, the glue will start getting hard again, and it won't go as hard. It'll be harder to push. But at that point, you just throw more heat onto it, let it heat back up, and keep going. And like so. And now we're at the second fret. So I'm going to throw some more heat on there and continue going down across there. So once I've got down to the second fret, I switched to the wider putty knife, because this putty knife sliding underneath isn't going to let me enough room to get by. My fretboard's going to end up hitting on the handle. Where I can put this putty knife underneath of it, slide it to the side, and that will slide right alongside the handle. I can take it the whole way down through. So if you got a wider putty knife, once you start down the neck, you're going to have to use it. You can still take it off with this. It's just you got to come from the side like this and go the whole way down the fretboard, kind of sideways like that, and have it slide over top like this. But it's easier if you got the wider one. So, like I said, we're down to about the second fret, and let's just keep going. Just back and forth. And at that point, put more heat onto it. So anyways, I'm going to continue, and when we get down in this area, down there on the 12th, 15th, 18th fret, we'll come back and I'll show you how I finish it off. So we're down to the last 2 frets, I think, is where we're at. So I went between both spatulas. I used both of them to do it, so you can switch between them. I'm going to finish it up with this short one here. Like I said, we're down pretty far. We're going to finish it up here in a second and get some more heat into the wood. And then basically take this thing in here like that, and I just finish the slide here. And there it is. There it is, fretboard's off. We have to clean this up on the back side here, sand it down, get it smooth. We are going to pull these frets out because I got to put binding around this thing. Okay guys, so that's how you take a fretboard off a guitar neck without ruining the fretboard or the neck. So I got one more fretboard to take off. I'll go ahead and get started on that. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in another video.